Happy Friday, everyone. My name is Justin Moore, founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream sponsorship. Did you like how that rolled off my tongue today? I am excited because today I need your help. I need your brain, okay? I have a very, very lofty goal of helping creators, big and small, land 1 million sponsorships by 2032, so in 9 years from now. And I have had a really hard time figuring out how to track it. So I would love to kind of talk through this build in public kind of idea today. As you know, these live streams, I'm here to serve you each and every week. So any questions that you have around brand deals and sponsorships and negotiations, of course, I'll be answering those questions as well. Please let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm going live across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. I'm everywhere. Let's pull up the IG chat to see who we got. Oh, we got General Motors. Jeff, what's going on, dude? We've got Grounded in Maine. We've got Chainsaw MMA. Good to see you all here. Ramen Razzi tuning in on YouTube. We've got Aaron's House of Legos. We've got Thomas from Circle H Scuba says, I'm listening while working. Gonna try and tune in, but I'm in a Zoom call right now, so I have to mute the stream. It's all good, dude. I will happily take 999,999 of those brand deals to help you with the load of that money. Yeah, you know what? I hear it. I hear it, man. I appreciate it. Hope we can get you some of those. I just did a public coaching call with Thomas a few days ago. Was it yesterday? 2 days ago, maybe? And it was awesome. I cannot wait to share it with you. For those of you guys who are in more of a concentrated niche, where it seems like brands aren't really up to speed, working with creators, and there's a lot of education required. I'm really excited to be releasing that coaching call that I did with Thomas because he's in the scuba diving industry and he has this challenge where a lot of the brands that he speaks with just don't really get it, right? And so that's going to be a really good one. All right. Let's see. We've got, who else we got on the IG chat? We've got, tuning in from Canada, Brunswick, Maine, Sarah Fashionista tuned in, Chainsaw MMA. Yeah, glad to be here. Trying to learn how to get sponsorships. Oh, awesome. We got Corey in the kitchen here, Daryl, the finisher, Thomas says public coaching was so worth it. Boom. You mind if I'm just gonna pull this thing up? I'm gonna pull it up. See, we got a real authentic testimonial here from Thomas. So love to see it, man. Appreciate you. All right. So let me let me describe the challenge that I'm having. Okay. So about 1.5 years ago, I tweeted out, I want to help creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships by 2032. And that wasn't just some random tweet that I made when I was eating lunch and I had a salad in my mouth or something. It was something I'd given a lot of thought to. And it's a goal. It's basically the primary vision for my company, Creator Wizard, for what I'm doing. And the reason it's a very specific goal because an easier, I very specifically made it, I want to help creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships. Not that I want to help 1 million creators, because it's so much more impactful for me to help one creator get 100 sponsorships than it is for me to get 100 creators to get one sponsorship, right? Because one of the kind of the through lines, one of the kind of my ethos behind my coaching and my content and all that stuff is creating a consistent income, a reliable income, a scalable income from working with brands, because I'm trying to buck this myth that sponsorships are not predictable. That's what most people think. And that is something that I actively disagree with, and I make a lot of content around that and all that. And so my challenge is that it would be one thing if I said, oh, I'm going to help 1 million creators, because that would be a lot easier to track, right? I could kind of say all the people that follow me on social media, that's a good proxy for how many people I'm helping. So if I've got 44,000 people on my YouTube channel and 30,000 people on my newsletter and all this stuff, right? It'd be easier for me to start totaling those numbers up and be I've already helped 100,000 people or whatever. But number one, that's not that interesting to me. Number two, again, going back to this whole idea about why I made the goal what I made it, it presents this really interesting challenge, which is how do you actually track that? I've gone through a bunch of iterations of ideas. Oh, we got an early cameo today from my boo. Well, oh, what's up? Look, oh my God, look how beautiful she looks.
I'm gonna see Barbie. I'm a Barbie girl. Look at my pink Barbie outfit.
I know, you look so pretty. You got dolled up.
I even have pink lipstick. Do you see it?
I did. Let me see. Mwah. Am I gonna have pink on my lips now?
Yeah, probably.
Is it one of those? Okay, I don't know.
Friends!
So we're talking about my goal about how to land 1 million sponsorships by 2032.
Oh yeah, that's a big goal.
It's a big goal. Yeah. So we're talking about logistically how to make it happen.
Yeah, that's some big zaddy goals.
It's some big zaddy, but big zaddy can make it happen. So yeah.
Yeah, circle. I am going to see Barbie with my bestie Danielle.
Yeah.
We're about to see that in a little bit.
Thomas just did a public coaching call with Circle H Scuba. Just did a public coaching call with me. Like
That's awesome.
2 days ago, maybe.
Why are you wiping your lips? You better keep that pink lipstick on.
I'm always worried it's gonna burn my lips.
It's
like
not.
The lip
I'll let
plumper.
you know if it's a lip plumper. My girlfriend just saw it with her bestie. Oh, I'm seeing it with my bestie too. We're gonna go take pictures in that box. That's why I was, and like it's so funny. She said that she's wearing like Jordans.
You're talking to this.
She's wearing Jordans. She said, I'm the street Barbie. And I'm like, I don't know what kind of Barbie I am. I'm just the Pinay Barbie.
The Pinay Barbie.
The Pinay Barbie.
The AAPI Barbie.
Yeah, I'm the AAPI Barbie.
They have like every Barbie under the sun now. Like
I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
I love that so much. They need to be Crazy Cat Lady Barbie. I want to
oh,
be
that's
that
a good.
one.
Oh, like fighting off cats in the box.
No,
like, that's actually a good
the
one.
Crazy Cat Lady with like hecka cats all over her body.
That's a good one, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, friends, I hope that you have a great day and enjoy Justin's live. And yeah, love you, honey.
Okay, I love you. Have fun. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Have fun.
I'm a Barbie girl.
Love you. Okay, sorry. It's like habit. It's like every time she kisses me, I'm like worried. It's like that. She has these lip plumpers that like they burn so bad, and I'm just like, I'm always like, oh my God. Sorry. Oh, hi. Oh, is this? Oh, thank you. I filled this up and I forgot about this. Thank you, boo. Okay, love you, honey. Bye.
Sorry, y'all.
What?
Oh, I'm just here to get me some lip gloss.
Oh, she's getting some lip gloss. This is the room that we do our Amazon live streams into, so she has a little stash of lip gloss over here.
Sorry, am I in your way?
No, you're not in my way. Nora Alanesi says, you guys are so cute. Thank you, Nora. I appreciate that very much. It's Miss Lacey says, Tiger King Barbie.
Tiger King.
Do they actually have that? That's funny.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that'd be so funny.
Scoop and Wubby Baking Company, honey.
Hey, I love you. I love your cookies.
Dang, that's so funny. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. We need to get back on
you
that.
still at the farmers market? Because we haven't been for a minute this whole summer because the boys had their activities and all of that, and we've been traveling. But next time we go buy some cookies. We gonna buy some cookies.
Yes, that's awesome. Good to see you.
Yeah.
All right.
Scoop and Wubby, you guys better order some. Scoop and Wubby is in the house.
His cookies are absolutely incredible.
He
Yes.
in the house, so y'all order some. I actually ordered some for my friend Alicia, and she loved it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, bye, friends.
Okay, love you, honey. All right. Let's see here. We've got Tizania Sacco in the TikTok chat said, the fact that I've been watching you guys since I was 23 and now I'm 32, that is insane. You've been watching April and I for 9 years. That is absolutely insane. Tiziana, am I pronouncing your name correctly? I can't tell you how much we appreciate that. That's amazing. Like, holy cow. 9 years? Come on, let's get some cha-chings, some applauses in the chat for Tiziana. That is amazing. Ashley says, oh my God, Cook with April. Yes, exactly. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for being here. Okay, so going back to this whole idea, the goal around 1 million sponsorships. So, like I mentioned, like it'd be super easy to treat my social following as a proxy for how much impact I'm having, right? I say, oh, I'm getting this many views on my videos, or I have this many followers, and whatever. Oh, I've got my public, total or whatever. But to me, that's not really that interesting, and it also is not an accurate representation of who I've impacted and who I've helped. And those of you who have heard me talk about this before, that like I truly believe that this next chapter of my life and my career, I've been on YouTube since 2009, so almost 15 years we've been doing this. Like I believe that this next chapter is dedicated to helping others, and so that was why I wanted to make this really ambitious vision, this big ambitious goal that is not about me. It's about helping other people, and so I've gone through a bunch of like ideas of like how I can actually track this, right? Because so the first thing that I did was I hired a developer because I'm impulsive, and I was like, okay, this is easy. I'll make up, a dashboard. I'll use Airtable, or I'll use some like software dashboard or whatever. People can log in, they can create accounts, they can every time they get a sponsorship, they can log in and fill out the information, and we'll kind of make this public leaderboard thing. And I was really excited about it. And then as we started getting down the road and I started paying more and more money, like developing this like dashboard and leaderboard, they call it kind of an MVP, a minimum viable product of this dashboard. I just started thinking like, this is really complicated. There's no way that creators are going to like do this on an ongoing basis. Every time they get a sponsorship, they're not going to number one, remember to do this. It's going to be too much work, and it's just not going to be an accurate way to count like how many sponsorships people are actually getting. And so it's going to undercount, right? So that's number one. I thought of different ways of how I could automate it. So like maybe if people logged in and said, okay, yeah, they raised their hand, say, hey, I want to participate in your million sponsorships challenge. And they grant me the rights to like their like what's called OAuth or O authorization into their social handles, right? And that way I could potentially track every time they do a post, if there is one of the keywords in the caption, such as hashtag ad or partnering or sponsored or something like that, one of the kind of buzzwords or keywords that would indicate to our software that this was a sponsored post, then it would automatically count it towards the total. And I was like, oh, perfect. That's automated. They don't have to do anything. But the reality is like, are people really going to want to like, let me, let our tool have back-end access to our dashboard? Probably not. That's like going to feel kind of invasive to people. The other thing too that was challenging is that if I'm not getting, API access to people's platforms like that only includes the social accounts, but I help a lot of other different types of creators. I help, newsletter operators, I help podcasters, bloggers, so there's a lot of, event organizers, people who have conferences. There's a lot of other types of people that I help with sponsorship strategy. And so, it's not just social creators. And so we would be missing a whole swath of people that we were helping, right? And so put a big pause on that project. It was kind of demoralizing because I was really excited about it. Like if you think about it from like a grand vision, even from a marketing perspective for Creator Wizard, I bought this like ticker, this like LED ticker that I had sitting on my shelf in the background here for a long time. And my vision was like, wow, wouldn't it be cool to have like a real-time counter of like that just said something like 45,000 or something on the counter, and people 45,364, and people would be like, what is that, right? And I'd be like, oh, thanks for asking. Let me tell you about it, and right. And so it's like a thing you can talk about. It's like a mission that we as a community can all get behind. And it's just like, and the other really big and important reason that I believe this vision is so important is that it really informs a lot of our strategic decisions about the products and the offers and the courses and the coaching and all the stuff that we do at the company, because it has to serve the larger vision, right? And so like the scale of that mission is so vast that you can't just think small anymore. Like if I look at my cohort-based course, which is basically limited to 50 creators per cohort, and I teach it 3 times a year, that's 150 people a year. So even if each of them got 100 or 50 sponsorships, whatever, that's not that many. That's not going to get me to my goal, right? That like per year. And so this is one of the reasons that led me to start to consider having an on-demand version of the program, where it's more scalable, where there are a lot of people who don't want to participate in a cohort, whether it's they have social anxiety or they just want the information right away. They don't want to have to wait 3 months for the next cohort. They can get access to all the trainings kind of on demand. And so it's like, that was what led us to creating this new version of the program. That's a lower investment, by the way. And so again, it's like having a vision for what you do in your business, like really informs everything that you should be thinking about in terms of all the different ways in which you can serve people, right? As you know, like I give like massive amounts away of, for free. I don't care if 99.9% of you never pay me a dime. Like I've talked about that. I really don't care, because that's not why I'm doing this. But there will always be people who want more detailed support, right? And so I think that that's really one of the most important, things that you have to consider when you are picking a vision and figuring out how that's going to, like help the people in your audience and your customers. Hold on, my Instagram chat froze and I don't know why that happened. There we go. I'm back. Okay, perfect. There we go. And so like it's really important because it's helped us make all these decisions of like, how we can serve people, right? And so I kind of wanted to open the floor. I wanted to give that context of like how this happens, for how we're thinking about it for Creator Wizard here at the company. How would you track this? I'm really curious. I'm going to take a swig, and I'm curious, like how would you track this? Like what is the methodology that you would use to track this? I'm very curious. What would get you to want to fill out the information other than personal satisfaction? What is the ongoing utility that you would get out of being a part of this challenge other than, seeing how I'm, performing relative to my peers? I'll talk about what the challenge is. Okay, this is good. Oliver says I wouldn't. This is good. I want to know. So tell me why. What are the hesitations? What are the hesitations here? What are the hesitations? Sorry, I'm just moderating some stuff in my in my TikTok chat. Molly, is that a thing I can do? I can make you a moderator? How does that work? I don't even know how that works. Thank you. I'll do that next time. That would be funny. Yes, thank you. I appreciate you defending me, Molly. I've got some trolls today. Let's see. So Sip and Dip joined. What's up, Sip and Dip? We've got Holla at Ya Guala joined. Runner, Caroline Olson, Laura, Revi. Good to see you here on the Instagram chat. Let's see here. Jake says, can you give a brief overview again for those who just joined? Yeah. So what we're talking about today is like, I have a goal to help creators big and small land 1 million sponsorships by 2032. So in 9 years. And we're talking about how can I actually track that goal? And so my initial implementation of it was to create just a very simple software dashboard, leaderboard type thing for people to fill out their information and kind of be part of this challenge. But the real, like Oliver's saying here in the chat, which is exactly what my concern was, is there's just not strong enough reason to do it. It benefits me more than you, number one. It's too much work. There's not an inherent clear benefit other than personal satisfaction. And so these are some of my really major concerns. I'll tell you a couple ideas that I had. So I have 2 major resources that I've developed for my Brand Deal Wizard program that are really, really useful. The first one is my sponsorship pricing calculator. So I've spent a ton of time developing both a kind of spreadsheet version, but also a Notion implementation version of my pricing calculator. It's quite sophisticated. It's quite different than other calculators that you may have seen out there. And what it really incorporates is the brand's goals, because in my experience, like that's one of the most critical things that you need to consider when pricing your deals. And so creators who usually take my program find that to be one of the most valuable things. And so I've toyed with over the, last year or two, open sourcing that calculator. And one of the ideas I had was like, okay, well, what if I actually create a actual software dashboard, kind of software implementation version of the calculator? And people can log in, right? It's free to use. There's no charge for this. People can log in, use the calculator, and then it spits out, you enter in kind of the deal dynamics and all the different terms and all this stuff too. And then it spits back a recommendation of how much you should charge. And then the presumption is that you would go and send that to the brand or the agency, right? And then there would be some sort of automation in the background where maybe like after 3 days or 7 days or 14 days or whatever, we sent an email to you and said, hey, did you get that deal that you calculated on, 2 weeks ago? And, click here, like if you did get the deal, click here to feed back information into the system. So say, hey, how much did you ultimately close the deal with? What were the terms, et cetera? And then if you feed that data back into the system, you will get something in return. You will unlock certain awards or tiers or like access to the course or, free coaching or, something. Or maybe there's like, I was considering maybe doing like an anonymized quarterly pricing benchmark report, right? Because if we're going to start getting a lot of data on pricing, we can anonymize that and, use that to create insights and things like that. So if you're one of the people who is feeding information back into the system, then maybe you get access access to that or other types of perks. And so to me, like that idea is pretty attractive because like the sponsorship pricing calculator is going to be something that people presumably use a lot, right? Over and over and over. Like every time they have a deal, they're like, okay, let me go in there and get some directional pricing here. And then that'll allow us to kind of have a regular touch point to be like, hey, got any sponsorships? Hey, got any sponsorships, right? And so that's one idea. So first of all, I'm going to pause there. What do you think of that idea? Does that sound interesting to anyone? Because I think that, Sip and Dip said, love the idea of an anonymous benchmark pricing. Yeah. Susan says, love this. Susan in the LinkedIn chat, appreciate it. Oh my gosh, Elevate with Vern just sent a super chat. I appreciate that so much. Vern, that really, really means a lot to me. That always goes towards our Friday DoorDash fund for me and my wife. We have kind of date night in every Friday with the kids and everything too. So we do movie night for them. So appreciate you very much, Vern. That really means a lot. Jake says, could you take social media usernames from your email list and use software to find their posts that contain hashtag ad or hashtag sponsors? That could give a rough estimate of landed deals from your audience. Yeah. So, Jake also says having creators manually report brand deals is tough since not 100% will report back, but it could give you a rough estimate. Yeah. So that's like definitely like squarely the challenge here is that I don't want to just use like the creators on my list as a proxy necessarily, right? It's like I want people to kind of opt into this, So I don't know. It's a good question, and you're right. Like if there's anything that has to be manual as part of this process, it's not gonna work, right? That's why kind of there's got to be some sort of automation something happening here, and I don't know what it is. Circle H Scuba says the price calculator has a lot of value for creators, but I'm not seeing where the value proposition is for this kind of reporting. Yeah, I mean, it's like, are creators really going to read a benchmark pricing report? And I don't know. Maybe it is access. Maybe the benchmark reporting is not really that. Maybe it's more like the tiers, the rewards, the unlocking access to things like some additional, research or like, or not research, but like, the secret. Because like every week in our newsletter, we do what we call secret brand deal research. And so we find brands that are currently collaborating with creators on social media. Like we see someone make a sponsored post in a podcast or YouTube or TikTok or whatever. And we say, oh, clearly that brand is working with creators, right? And so we reverse engineer it. We say, okay, who's the likely contact at that brand that probably greenlighted this deal? What is their LinkedIn URL? What's their probable email address? What are pitching angles that you could say when you reach out? So like maybe providing access to that or something could be like an interesting incentive. Let's see. We've got some questions here, or we got some ideas in here. Molly says, "What if you made a database of how much people make per ad and review brands, so we know who are good to work with?" And Chef Jill says, "What about offering something like Clara, where creators anonymously input info about the sponsorships for other creators to use as a benchmark when quoting the same brand for future sponsorships?" So I have thought in detail about this particular topic because there are tools out there like Clara and like FYPM and things like that that are kind of, they market themselves as kind of the Glassdoor price transparency, like that type of thing. Those are useful. Yes, I hear that. But one of my challenges or one of my personal beliefs around those tools, and completely more power to them, I think price transparency is really important. However, in my experience, there are so many different like deal dynamics when it comes to working with a brand that absolutely justify a brand paying one creator $1,000 and one creator $20,000. And so I think what's sometimes a little bit misleading about some of these tools is that creators will see these and be like, okay, oh, Revlon, they pay, or, not Revlon, but like, some brand, Unilever or P&G or some giant brand, they paid this creator $30,000 or whatever. That means I have justification to pay that same amount. And so I just don't think, one of my challenges with that approach is that, like one of the things that you'll find about the creators that I work with and that go through my program is that a lot of these creators are making a lot of money. and they don't have a very large following, they don't have a lot of, very large subscribership or whatever, it's because a lot of it has nothing to do with how many followers you have. And so I think some of these tools, it's a little bit misleading, that like, oh, I can just like draw a parallel of what I see on there. Like, oh, that brand. Okay. Well, that must mean they have the appetite or the budget to pay me that. And so I'm just not so sure that the pricing transparency route is what I want to go down, because I don't think that's the value proposition that I have to bring to creators. I don't know. That's kind of my half-baked thought on that, because I have considered it. Yeah, that's kind of my thought on that. Molly says, what about submitting anonymous negotiation screenshots to create a database of those to see in real time how creators negotiate their deals? Molly, this is a really interesting point you bring up, because I feel like I have the tiger by the tail with these public sponsorship coaching calls that I've been releasing lately over the last few weeks, because there is something very interesting where you can kind of be a voyeur. It's like you're vicariously living through someone else's negotiation. There really seems to be a lot of interest in this type of approach. And so I think you're right. There is something there, but I'm just not sure what the scalable, like component of that is. Like, is it scalable for me to, like one idea, like for example, like there used to be this tool called TripIt. I don't even know if it exists anymore, but I remember how cool it was. This was like 10 years ago or more, where you had an email address, you had an account, and you could forward, it was like a trip planning software. And you could forward your flight confirmations and your hotel confirmations to this email address. It was like, some email address at tripit.com or whatever. And it would like automatically parse those confirmation emails and like automatically populate it into your itinerary. And it was so cool. And I was like, that's amazing, right? And so one thing that you could think would be cool would be like, oh, just forward your negotiation emails, the thread, to this email address. And we have some software program that like automatically parses it and like puts it into some like standardized thing that you could potentially parse or something like that. That's actually kind of a cool idea. So I don't know. But yeah, that's a really cool idea. I wonder how I could like do that. That's actually interesting. Oh, Thomas says, I think TripIt exists. If it died, that would be so sad. Yeah, I totally used that like back in the day. Oh, we got George Blackman saying banger content, TBH. For those of you guys who don't know, George is one of my writers who helps with strategy for the channel. And he is the guru who helps me kind of organize and structure a lot of my content. So good to see you here, George. All right. We've got a message from A.Yaya10. I think that's how I pronounce it. Hey, Justin, I sent you a direct message today. Would love to hear from you. Okay, cool. I'll check it out, man. Thanks for the message. We've got a bunch of people tuning in here on IG as well. Let's see. Circle H Scuba says, how would you plan to validate the deal was actually a paid deal versus someone reporting bogus data? Yeah, that's another challenge, is like, how do you validate it? Because there could be, a bunch of people just sharing random stuff, and it would probably have to be on an honor system. There's no way like, oh, send us their contract. Like, there's no way people are going to do that. So there has to be some sort of like, honesty component to this. Like maybe I make you sign a pledge or something, or I don't know what it is, but like, something. There's got to be an honor system here, because it's going to be impossible for me to actually know. Yeah, so it's a good point. So that's the calculator angle, right? So that's one perspective. The other idea I had was I have this sponsorship tracker that I've developed for my courses. And it's a really sophisticated Notion template that has a ton of like baked in formulas that help you track all these opportunities that you're working on. So it follows my sponsorship wheel methodology, my 8-step wheel that I teach. And so essentially, if you can imagine, if you know what a Kanban board is, it's like these 8 steps, and there's like a few other kind of subtleties to it, but there's 8 steps, right? You've got pitching, negotiation, contract, concept, production, feedback, analysis, right? I missed one. Publication before analysis, right? Publication and analysis. And so those are the 8 steps. And so you're able to kind of follow these opportunities that you're working on throughout this. And so it'll remind you of things like, oh, you need to, follow up with your pitch on this brand, or you need to, send the contract, or, sign the contract with this brand or whatever. And it like kind of notifies you of what you need to do next on an opportunity. And so that was another idea, is like, okay, maybe if I implement that as some sort of like, dashboard that people can log into, it's completely free. As long as you kind of allow us to kind of anonymize the data that you're entering into that, then maybe that's a way to do it more scalably too. What do you think? What do you guys think of that idea? Like that's definitely something I've considered as well. Because I fail to see how I could do this without some sort of kind of software component or some sort of tool component that will, like I don't actually have to have a touch point with someone for it to be able to kind of like, because like you could say, okay, I get constantly social proof everywhere, every day, like on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, or people are always like putting in the comments like, oh, you helped me get this deal, or like, thank you for this, or blah, 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 blah. Right. And so it's like one idea is like, oh, I just screenshot all that social proof and like add that to the counter. Like, oh, I clearly helped that person. Like, and maybe that's still part of it, but like, that's a manual way to do this, right? There's no way. Like if you break it down, even, 1 million divided by 9, basically, or let's just simplify, let's say 100,000 a year. Even if we said, let's say 10,000 a year, right? And maybe it would ramp up towards the end as we get more momentum or whatever. Like 10,000 sponsorships is a lot. That is so many, right? And so like, there's gotta be a way where there's some sort of like automation here, So let's see here. Oh my gosh, we got Philip, the creator, in here. What's up, Philip? So it's so funny because Philip is someone who we were initially working with, he built out one of the initial versions of the dashboard, and so it's good to see. I haven't heard from you in a while, Philip, so it's good to hear. Good to see you, man. Let's see here. So Thomas says, hey, another question to ask when building an MVP: what pain points and problems are you hearing that you're trying to solve for? I may have missed that piece. I think it's a really good point, which is why I was going towards the kind of the software route, which is the pricing or the tracking, which is, one of the pain points, candidly, that my courses and my coaching serve is, I don't know how to price, right? And so like here's the other challenge, which is that one of the hesitancies that I have had, a lot of people will be like, oh, why don't you just sell your tools, your templates, you sell your calculator, sell your, your tracker sheet and all this stuff too. And like, sell it for $50 or $100 or whatever it is. Right. And like, number one, I've never been interested in like making money in that way from selling tools. Like there's a lot of people who do that. And like, that's not my model. Like I'm not in it to like make money in that way. I'm in it for people to learn this stuff. I'm in it for people to really fundamentally have a mindset shift in their business, which is why I've never offered it standalone. It's always like, no, I'm not going to give you the tactic without the strategy. Like you have to go through my program. I'm going to teach you that pricing is an art and a science. If you just spit out whatever the calculator says, you're going to miss you're probably going to undercharge, right? You have to treat what the calculator, says as a baseline, but the most important thing is the contextual understanding that you have of the what's going on in the sponsor's world, right? You may be able to charge 10x what the calculator says just based on what is their objectives, right? And so like, I've always been concerned to like offer the tools in a vacuum because I'm worried that people will still be undercharging, right? And so like, that's I think part of what's held me back from actually like going full force into like, okay, let's do this, right? It's because I really, 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 really want people to learn this stuff. Again, I told you it's not about the money for me. That's not why I'm doing this. The money is a byproduct of me serving people. Yes, I have made almost $600,000 in the last like 2.5 years doing this, courses and coaching and all that stuff. But that's because it's a byproduct of serving people. That's not my primary motivation here. If making money was my primary incentive, I would make the course $50 or $100 or $200. I could reach a lot more scale that way, but that's not why I'm doing this, right? And so, I have to figure out a way to like serve my vision, but also serve creators in a harmonious way, So hopefully that helps. Let me take a swig here. We've got Nikki tuning in. What's going on, Nikki? Nikki is a past student of the recent cohort 9 in my Brand Deal Wizard program. So great to see you in here, Nikki. Let's see here. We've got Chef Jill saying, oh yeah, they could link to the content. Let's see here. CRM for brand deal. Okay, a couple ideas from Thomas here in the chat. CRM for brand deal management. Content creator logs in. They can track their active communications and deals and put them into stages in the 8-step circle that you have. Since it would be a SaaS web app, their login data is available to you, so you can pull that info as they move through the various stages. For example, when a deal is closed and paid, they'd mark that in the software. You could have things like a 90-day reminder pop up for them to follow up with post-campaign reports. The CRM aspect allows them to build that Rolodex for their lists of dream brands and have, staged automated follow-up reminders. Yeah. I mean, for sure. Like that is, I already basically have that implemented with the Notion thing, not as like polished as a web app for sure, but like that is what I implemented with the Notion thing. And so, yeah, I agree. Like if that's something that I just basically give away for free and it's kind of like I guess kind of like a loss leader to provide that for free. But again, it's in service of the vision. It's in service of this larger goal. Because again, I go back to this thing where it's like, there will always be people who need more detailed support, right? It was like, it's funny because when I released these public coaching calls, that I've done 2 so far that I've released, and I have 3 more already recorded that I'm going to be releasing in the coming weeks and months. I was like thinking like, man, I'm giving away a lot of stuff in these in these coaching calls. Like, I actually literally share like my pricing calculator. I talk about it. I share like, templates and scripts that I had in my Brand Deal Wizard program in the last one. And I was thinking like, is this too much? Like, am I giving away too much? I had that like thought occur to myself, but I was like, nah, this is fine. Like it's not a big deal. No big deal. People always tell me like, I can't believe how much stuff you give away for free. And then what happened was I posted in the 9 days since I posted the last public coaching call, I have booked 6 additional coaching calls with different creators since then. So it was like, I thought to myself, like, are people really going to still want to book calls even after they see I'm like giving away so much in these calls? And it was like, so like interesting to me that like seeing it in action was what really drove a lot of people to be like, oh, that's what you can do in a coaching call. That's the value. Oh, I'm going to book one now. Right. And so it was like, instead of it like lowering demand, it increased demand, interestingly. And so it's like, oftentimes with these creator things, it's very surprising what people's behavior is once they actually see something and the real impact that can have. Because I do think that there is this concern or this hesitancy that people have with, like paying for coaching or paying for courses. There's this like strange, kind of, what's the word? Like, I'm like searching for the word and I can't think of it. Stigma. There's this really strange stigma of like paying for courses, paying for things like this. And the way I've always looked at it is like, consider like a traditional college education, right? You're spending thousands and thousands of dollars per course, per unit or whatever it is. And are you really learning the thing that you need to know about? Like, are you really learning negotiation, like the tactical negotiation principles that you need when you're like working with a brand and all that stuff? Like, people are making thousands and tens of thousands of dollars in these negotiations. So if you're able to learn something that can measurably increase your return, the amount of money that you're making on some of these deals, wouldn't you do that? And so it's always been so interesting to me and silly that like online courses or coaching or things like that has this stigma. I think it's becoming more destigmatized for sure. But it's like, I don't know. It's interesting to me that like, I've never had a problem with it, but I know that there's a lot of creators who, oh really? Like courses, coaching, this type of stuff. So I don't know. I think part of it, the problem is that there's a lot of crappy ones out there for sure. I will say that. And so like, in fact, I did a coaching call yesterday with a couple, and she said, they'll remain anonymous, but she basically said, like, I was really worried about paying $1,000 for a coaching call because we paid for other coaching calls in the past and they were not good. And so I think that's part of where it comes from is like you just have kind of PTSD from like past experiences of it not really being that good. And so I think pulling back the curtains on like what I actually do and how different it is from the way other people approach coaching, helps a lot, I think. So I think that's also a factor. Jake says, on the topic of brand deals, have you tried pitching brands a guarantee of video views? For example, a brand pays $5,000 in exchange for 100K views. Creator will continue to make videos until they reach 100K views. So there are a lot of brands who will attempt to get you on a CPM model, or CPV model. That's what it's called, cost per view. And I very, very rarely advise creators to take deals like that, just because all the benefit accrues to the brand or the sponsor, not you, right? So you're having to do a lot of work, and the brand is, achieving all the benefits, right? Because they have an army of creators out there talking about them, and they only have to pay them when they actually see results. And don't get me wrong, I did a coaching call with a creator who had a model like that recently. Actually, it was a public coaching call, so we'll be talking about that soon on the call, where he actually did this, a CPV model, and he actually ended up making way more than he would have in a flat rate deal. So there are certain situations where if you know that the type of piece of content that you're about to put out, and you know that the brand or the product is something that you know your audience is going to really resonate with, then there may be situations where it behooves you. It's actually more advantageous of you to take a performance-based deal, because you're going to make more in the long run. Typically, what for creators that are entertaining deals like that, what I'll actually advise is what's called a hybrid deal, where there is some sort of flat or retainer compensation component, and then there's a back end sweetener where it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to pay me $2,000 or $5,000 for the creation of the video itself, but then there's also like I'm going to achieve some sort of cost per view or CPM or whatever above that, right? And it's kind of like a sweetener, either that or maybe there's a commission component based on affiliate performance. So you get a flat rate plus 50% of signups or whatever it is. So that's how I typically approach it. So it's really difficult because you don't want to shoulder all the burden of the partnership on you. That's not fair. Then it needs to be a shared burden, or shared opportunity, right? So that's kind of how I approach it. Jake says, yeah, I just love the idea of aligning incentives between brands and creators. Yeah, 100%. I just think you have to do it in a way that also acknowledges the work that you have to actually do, to bring a piece of content to life, because that's non-trivial, right? So that's kind of how I approach it. I'm gonna take a swig. So thank you guys for brainstorming all this with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to take a swig, but I do want to get into questions that you have today. So drop it in the chat as I take a swig. If you have any other questions about brand deals, negotiations, sponsorships, I'm here for you each and every Friday. So please let me know. All right. Whew. Okay. Man, the amount of one thing I was thinking about recently. So last week I was on vacation. I mentioned I was in Mexico, and then this is the first week full week that I've been back without the course being live. I completed cohort number 9 of my program, and I am just completely inundated during the cohort periods. And so I don't have a lot of time to do much else, whether it's content. I keep the newsletter going. Like that's something I definitely don't miss. But like the things that sometimes fall by the waysides, or they definitely fell by the wayside, is my Creator Wizard videos, like long form videos that I publish on this channel, as well as short form content, right? I do repurpose a lot of the live stream content that I do, like that you see here. I do repurpose that, but like just making sit down, like long form video, the stuff that I really get energized by and the stuff that I love. It's hard to do that when I do my programs. And so this has been the first full week that I've been able to really go back into content. I filmed 2 YouTube videos here. I did a bunch of coaching calls. And it just like reminded me of how much I enjoy the creation process and how important it is for me to try to maximize that, because I really feel like that is my, I guess you could call kind of zone of genius. That is really, the thing that brings, the most, that moves the needle the most, whether it's like, eyeballs on the business, new newsletter subscribers, new people coming in and following the channel and my socials, coaching clients, course enrollments, all that stuff too. Like at the very top of the kind of funnel, I don't like calling it a funnel, but like at the very top, like it's content. That's the discovery engine, is like how people find out about me and how I can serve them. Right. And so I found, so much joy in like getting back to like, especially like doing stupid stuff that like, I don't know. It's like I had this one thing that I think like surprises a lot of people is that I am very not serious in my real life, like with my friends. And when I actually meet people in real life, I am cracking jokes like every 2 seconds. Like that's just my personality. And everyone who knows me in kind of my real life knows that that's how I am. But I don't necessarily think that that comes across in my content because I am somewhat, I have a lot of like professional knowledge to bring. But more recently, I've been trying to find ways to kind of inject that humor and more of like my personality of just kind of like stupid skits. Like I don't know if you saw it, but I did this kind of like music video to Cake's song, The Distance, if you know that band from the 90s. And I did a music video around not accepting free stuff, in exchange for posting. So I did that. It was kind of a funny music video. And then I did a trailer for my podcast, Creator Debates. The season 2 is releasing on Monday. I'm excited. And so I did this like funny kind of trailer for it. And so I don't know, I'm having fun. Like it's just like I find myself laughing at myself. And like I feel like that's those I need to follow that thread. I need to pull that thread more because I don't know. I feel like people are so serious on the internet, and like I feel like it's, you need to inject more humor and personality into the stuff you do because I feel like that endears you to people. I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys saw that or what if you like kind of identify with that. But I guess I was feeling kind of in a creative rut, and it just reminded me that like number one, going away and having some time away from like the grind is helpful. Like that was what kind of vacation, helped with, but also like not being afraid to just like be yourself. I think I've always been a little nervous to like be myself in that kind of non-serious way because like, oh, are people going to like take me serious? I'm a coach. Like, should I be non-serious? Should I make jokes? Should I do memes? Like, are people going to take me serious? Are people going to want to hire me and do my course and like all this stuff? Like, are people really going to want to, if they see something non-serious like that? And honestly, at the end of the day, I just decided like, I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, this is just me. I just need to be me. And I think people, like the right people will gravitate to that. Hopefully. We'll see. Let's see here. Rebuilding Joy says, I saw it and I shared it. I loved it. Thank you so much. That really means a lot. Yaya says, what is the name of your podcast? It is called Creator Debates. So every episode pits 2 high-profile creators against each other to debate a hotly contested topic in the creator economy. The tagline is stupid arguments to help creators make smart decisions. So we wrapped season 1 like last month, and so season 2 starts on Monday. And the first episode is scripting your videos versus winging it. And so I'm really excited. I had George Blackman, who is my writer, as well as Milo, Mr. Waffle Waffles, aka Mr. Milo Strategy, been 2 million subscribers on YouTube. He is defending winging it, and George is defending scripting. So it's actually a really, really good one. I just got the final edit back, so it's gonna be a good one. So yeah, definitely check it out. I'm having a ton of fun doing the podcast. Let's see here. Oh, we've got some ideas here from Philip. So happy to see this is still something you want to do. I think a software component is still necessary, he said, with some automation layer on top of that. Number 2, not sure what the currently available options are, but is there a sponsorship companion kind of app or software that creators currently use? Number 3, wondering if you can frame it as that so that there's value for the creator beyond helping measure progress towards the 1 million sponsorship vision. It's a PS, still happy to help you out when you settle on this idea. But appreciate that very much, Philip. Yeah, you're 100% right, dude. There's got to be software component. There's got to be an automation layer to it. There's got to be a benefit. There's got to be an incentive for creators to use it, not just being part of the challenge. So whether that's helping with pricing or helping with, tracking management, I think it's that. I think it's got to be that. And maybe there is some manual components to it where we can manually add people to it somehow too. But the kind of software / automation, that's the piece that I don't know yet. I got to figure that piece out. It's still an enigma to me. Tube Venture says, bro, your energy is unmatched. How is it unmatched? Man, I appreciate that. Let's get some applause. Let's get some cha-chings in the chat for that one. I don't know, man. Like, I appreciate that. Why do you feel? Can you describe that more for me? What is it about my energy that's unmatched? People tell this to me all the time. Like, Justin, I don't know how you have so much energy or so much excitement about the stuff that you do. Can you let me know in the chat? I don't know any other way. This is just the way of my personality. I get so fired up talking about this stuff. Let me know. I'm very curious. It's funny. Like, I I feel so blessed. I wake up and I think to myself, I'm so excited to do the things that I'm doing. I'm so excited. Like I was thinking about how crazy it is that like I wake up every day and I have messages in my inbox, in my email, in my social platforms of people saying, you have changed my life. I was able to quit my full-time job. I'm now able to like I've had people say, oh, my partner was able to like quit their job and stay home with our children because I'm making so much more money on my sponsorships. Like it's crazy. I'm not exaggerating. Like if you've seen the testimonials that I post on my, on my website and all this stuff too, it's like, these are like, I think about this did not exist 3 years ago. And for me to be able to play even a small role along y'all's journey, is so fulfilling to me. I can't describe it to you. I can't describe, like, it is so beautiful to be able to impact people in that way. I can't describe it. Like, I feel such a tremendous sense of purpose every day. And I feel so blessed because I know a lot of people don't have that. A lot of people don't, maybe they're in a job that they don't love, or maybe they're making content about things that they're not super passionate about, or they're in a creative route or whatever. And I want to say that I hear you. Like this is something that I just came into 15 years in the making, right? Like I only feel like I'm hitting my stride now, let's say 2-3 years into doing this stuff. I've been a creator for a really long time and I loved what I did. Of course, like it afforded a wonderful lifestyle and there were a lot of trying times, but it wasn't until I started doing this and serving people and helping them with this thing that I have developed a lot of expertise around that I truly felt like I'm like hitting my stride. So anyone who feels like, I wish I could get there, just remember, like that is in your future. I believe if you keep fighting and striving towards getting there, it's in your future, because it took me 15 years basically, right? Or even longer than that, right? Because I was in medical devices for many years, for 10 years basically. I was doing the kind of professional career thing. And so at the same time of kind of doing the side hustle with being a creator. So, yeah, it's I feel blessed. Let's put it that way. We've got Ampersand Studios here. Your energy does show how much you love and believe in what you do and how you serve people. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. And I just want to tell you, I don't know, tell me which of you it is, because I don't know. You guys were both so kind to open up that we did this photo shoot at Craft and Commerce, the conference a month and a half ago. And first of all, that conference was amazing and one of the best conferences I've ever been to. But as part of one of the perks of being a speaker for this conference, they booked out Ampersand Studios in Boise, Idaho. And we were all able to have a photo session. And I don't know if you've seen this, but that is now my new, it's Franny. What's up, Franny? So Franny, this is my new profile photo across all my social platforms. They took the most unbelievable photos. Not only that, I got photos with my wife, April. She was there with me. And so we were able to do like a photo shoot together. Like, I can't tell you how much, like hiring a photographer is like the last thing on your mind usually as a creator. Is like, oh, I should get like new photos like for myself. Or for me, I'm always like, oh, I want to lose 10 pounds before I hire a photographer. It's like stupid, right? It's like the stupidest things like prevent you from doing it. But like, that's always been me. I was like, oh, I want to like, lose weight or whatever, but it's like, whatever. Right. And so now I have these like amazing photos that I got from Franny and Ampersand Studios. So if y'all live in Idaho or in Boise or anywhere nearby, I highly, highly recommend going and checking them out. The photos that we got from them or hiring them for your event, like definitely check them out. So thank you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Truly, that really means a lot. Okay. Oh, in the chat, Tube Venture says, for some reason, I always listen to you with a smile on my face. I can't exactly tell what it is. That means a lot, man. I appreciate it. The fact that I elicit that in you makes me happy. So I appreciate that. Liz Bianco has a question here in the chat. It's so good to see you here, Liz. Hey, Justin, I get free stuff for a video offer that isn't at all in line with my values, but I think it's an agency reaching out and not the product. So I don't want to burn the bridges. It's a great question here. So if you're a creator who gets a lot of offers from brands and it's actually an agency reaching out who actually represents a brand or a product or something that you don't really think is a good fit for your audience, but you don't want to burn the bridge because, hey, maybe that agency also represents other brands or other products, right? And so there's a pretty simple way to like not burn the bridge. You basically are very graceful. You say, hey, thank you so much for reaching out about this opportunity. Seems like an awesome campaign or seems like an awesome product or brand or whatever. It's not a great fit for for my audience at this time, but I was curious, does your agency represent other brands or products that, we might be able to collaborate on? And then you share a little bit about the demographics or psychographics of your audience. You say, my audience is XYZ. I would love to, see if there's any way in which I can provide value for you. So basically that's the way in which you do it. So you don't shut them down. You basically pivot to how you might be able to help some of their other clients achieve results. One thing I will say though, is don't be too discouraged if they say no or, we'll be in touch, because typically one of the reasons that agency might be reaching out is that they have this particular campaign that's hot that they're recruiting for right now, even if it's for free product, right? They're in charge of gifting for this particular campaign. And so you still want to nurture that though, because who knows, in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever, then that may be when the agency has another opportunity that is a good fit for you. And so one of the most fundamental things that I talk about and preach on my platforms is that, when a brand says no, it's not no forever. It's just not yet, right? And so your goal is to basically kind of be objective about it, have the humility to understand that, you're not going to reaching out and pitching a brand or even pitching them when they reach out to you as to why you're the best fit. The goal is not to get the deal. The goal is to get on their radar so that they can come back to you when they do have a deal for you, right? It's this longer term game. That's really what it's all about. Case in point, I had a brand reach out to me for a partnership on my personal Instagram. And I do what I teach. I nurtured them. I gave them a bunch of packages of what it would look like. This was for a Father's Day campaign. Ultimately, it didn't work out. Either I was too expensive or they went a different direction or whatever, and kept nurturing that relationship. And surprise, surprise, they reached out about a week ago. And I just signed a 5-figure deal with them for my personal Instagram. I only have 39,000 followers on my Instagram, but I got a 5-figure deal on on my Instagram because I nurtured this opportunity, right? So it's not about getting the deal in hand. It's about showing how you can provide value to the brand either now or in the future. Okay. Liz says, boom. Thank you. Oh, wise one. You're welcome, Liz. So glad that was helpful. Procrastination DIY says, can you talk a little bit about copyright when you do a collab for a company? Also, are there resources to know what you're worth and what to charge? Thanks for the question here. So if you're a creator and you're wondering, how do I own the copyright to my content or usage rights? People are asking, brands are asking we want perpetual usage rights to use this content however we want on our social media or on our website or to run paid advertising with it or whatever. What are my rights as a creator? And one of the most fundamental things to understand is that you own the content that you create unless you have assigned ownership rights to the brand. Okay, so the most important thing to understand is there is a difference between a brand doing a work for hire relationship with the brand and you creating the content, but then non-exclusively licensing it to the brand. So these are the two types of relationships that you will enter into with the brand. So when you non-exclusively license it to a brand, you retain ownership. But you non-exclusively license it to the brand to be able to repurpose it or run advertising with it or whatever, typically for a fixed duration, for a month or 6 months or whatever it is. When a brand hires you in a work for hire relationship, that means they own the content. It'll usually say that in the agreement that they own the content in perpetuity. They can do whatever they want with it, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's very important that you read the terms of ownership or the terms of usage rights or whatever it is in the contract with the brand and make sure what you're agreeing to. But the other really important thing to understand is that when you let's say you were not collaborating with a brand and you've just created content, but you talked about a brand in your content and you tagged them, right? You use some makeup or I know you're a DIY creator and maybe you use a tool or a paintbrush or whatever it is. You talk about the brand, you tag them, and then they repost your content without your permission. That's actually not okay because you own that content. It is your legally, even though there's no like written contract or whatever, you creating content on your own platform, even though you tag them and you put it on a social media platform, you still own that content. Okay. And so a lot of brands don't realize that. They think that, since this creator's tagging me, that must mean that they're implicitly granting us the rights to repurpose this in a variety of ways, right? Sometimes the savvier brands will actually understand that they don't own it and they need to get your permission to repost it, which is why they will reply to your comment or reply to your story on Instagram or whatever saying, hey, oh, thank you so much for tagging us. Will you grant us the permission to like repurpose this, blah, 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 blah. You know, so you may have seen this sometimes. And so you have to understand that like, yeah, they understand that they have to get your right to do this, which is your opening to say, hey, thank you so much. I'm thrilled to hear that you found value in my content. That's something that typically requires an investment. Let me know if you'd like me to send over a few options for what that could look like, right? And so that's your opening, right? So I think that that's like a really, really important thing to understand is that you own it. You own it. And so you have to help them understand that, that's something that they have to compensate you for. Let me take a swig. Holy cow, guys. I can't believe we're already at time. These live streams always go by so quickly. Thank you, everyone, for your brainstorming prowess as we work through this Million Sponsorships Challenge. If you ever have any other ideas about how we could, pull this off, it's still something I'm actively trying to figure out. Please email me. I'm very accessible. You can find my email address in my bio, etc. I'm always open ears for this type of stuff because still trying to work this out. I did want to clarify that I am not going to be doing a live stream next week because I have some family obligations, so I won't be here next week, but I will the following week. So appreciate your grace. It's always a little challenging during the summer and all that stuff. Before my kids go back to school, we're trying to squeeze family time in. But appreciate each and every one of you very, very much. If you are not on my newsletter, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, make sure to join it. It's creatorwizard.com/join. It's completely free. We've got over 30,000 creators on the newsletter now. So I send paid sponsorship opportunities with brands every single week. Actually more than that. On Monday, by the way, if you do want to stay updated on the podcast, because remember season 2 is launching, make sure to join the newsletter because I'll be sending out something about the podcast launch as well on there. So hope you have a wonderful weekend, have a wonderful Friday, and I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace.